Third step, without question, guys, and sure, it could be mine, it doesn't have to be mine, you need an outside perspective. Okay, you can ask the faculty members, you can ask the people in your business school, you can ask people in the admissions office to assess the brand. You need an outside perspective. The outside perspective is here to say, you're doing this right, you're doing this wrong, you need to change this right away. Do you have people on your team that are willing to tell you information you don't want to hear? If not, bring in that outside perspective. Fourth step is go all in with digital marketing and social media. You cannot do this halfway because the marketplace is entirely too smart. I'll give you a perfect example. We got an intern from the University of Virginia. This kid is 22 years old and he's going to be maybe the President of the United States. I don't know. He is that sharp. He comes into our first meeting and he says, you know what, I think this idea would be great. I think this idea you're not using right now in this brand, why don't you try it out? And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, God, I can't show too much enthusiasm or excitement because this kid might realize he's smarter than I am. But I'm sitting here, I'm saying, you know, it's a pretty good idea. Why don't we think about that later? And then I call them aside, keep them coming. Please make me look smarter here. But that's what you got to do. The 17 and 18-year-olds that you're trying to appeal to, they are using Facebook, Twitter, and social media constantly. Do you realize that 900 million plus people worldwide are on Facebook? 900 million plus. Realize that of that 900 million, 60% log on every day for an average time on site of 32 minutes and 15 seconds. Think about that. 900 million plus, 60% of that 900 million plus log on for 32 plus minutes every sitting. I would bet that there's some students at your respective institutions that aren't going to class for 32 minutes a day. I would guarantee that, okay? And I'm speaking from first-hand perspective there. So digital marketing and social media is certainly something that you can have absolute control over. We'll get to the numbers. Facebook is king. India and China are the only countries that are more populated than Facebook. If Facebook was a country, India and China are the only ones that are more populated than Facebook. USA is third. Think about that. Think about that. And the crazy thing about this is, by the end of this year, that 900 million plus will be 1 billion. And that does not even consider the ubiquitous nature of smartphones, iPhones, Blackberries, Droids. I see a lot of them out right now. I saw you texting just a minute ago. It's okay, it's cool, no problem. Here's the cool thing about it, guys. As smartphones become more ubiquitous, these numbers are going to go up even more. That's the beautiful aspect of this. Again, think of it as you're on the ground floor of an elevator ride to the top of the Empire State Building. You have so much power right now of what you can offer from an advice strategic standpoint to the people, your peers at your respective institutions. Facebook is king without question. If you take anything from me here, realize that you're going to have to do 10 or 12 things differently on Facebook. I will certainly get to them. I'll put it in perspective for you. If you take all the users that are on Facebook right now, Twitter, Foursquare, Pinterest, Google+, and Instagram, you add all those up, and you're still less than the users on Facebook. You're still less than the users on Facebook, folks. Facebook is king. You need to use it. You need to get on it. Look at the bottom line, the last bullet point. 488 million used Facebook mobile in March. Imagine what happens when that iPhone and that Droid and that BlackBerry drops a little in price and cell phone renewals come up and people have to get another phone. What's going to happen then? I'm constantly on my smartphone checking Twitter and Facebook, and I can guarantee you your student body and your potential enrollees are doing the same thing. Your professors would probably attest to that as well. Strategic ideas and uses for Facebook, and these are just the tip of the iceberg. It is literally the tip of the iceberg. We have hundreds of strategies like this that we leverage. Humanize, personalize, and organize. Remove the corporate cloak that embodies your institution and let people realize that you have a personality, that you're a human being, that you are an organization made up of normal folks. How many juniors and seniors in high school do you think are intimidated to talk to an admissions director? So many. So many of them are. Okay? Humanize the brand. Bring a face to the forefront of the marketplace. That's what social media can do for you. We'll show you how in moments. Create events and blast invitations to the community. Think about the potential with sports, lectures, etc. Liberty has done this very well. Hampton-Sydney has done this very well. My team and I have assessed all your digital footprints. We'll tell you who's doing what and who's doing what in the right way. Think about it with sports, guys. If you want to drive more traffic to a sporting event, how are you going to do it? Are you going to put posters around grounds? You know how much time that would take to put flyers around grounds? It would take hours. You know how much money it would take to print 10,000 flyers? It's going to cost money. You know how little time it takes to create an event on Facebook and blast it out to everybody that's followed the page? What, 5 minutes? What is that going to do, guys? That's going to bring more students to your lecture series, more students to the concert, more students to the sporting event. What does that mean? More revenue, more money for you guys. Use and leverage the invitation opportunity, like Liberty is doing extremely well, to drive foot traffic to where you want it to go. Before you can leverage the invitation, before you can create these e-invites, we'll call them e-invites, you got to get the traction in place first. It's a chicken and egg type of situation. If you have a website and the website gets zero traffic, do you really have a website? Think about it. If you have a website and it gets no traffic, what's the point of having one? Get eyeballs on your brand. Social media can do that for you. How about a Facebook page for each department? Think about it. You have an engineering department. You have a sociology department, anthropology department, whatever it may be. What if you're able to create a Facebook page under the brand of the school, Roanoke College Anthropology, Roanoke College Math? Then what do? You get somebody to go around, student intern, costs you no money, take pictures of the professors, little bio about that professor, perhaps the work that they're working on currently. The professor wins. Every professor I know wants exposure. Every professor I know has somewhat of an ego. Every professor I know is looking to get published, is looking for eyeballs on his work. Well, if you can do that with Facebook, he's going to win, she's going to win, because she or he will get more exposure. The school wins because it humanizes, personalizes the department. The department goes from this, again, cloak of institutional, whatever you want to call it, to being an actual group of people here to help you out and to serve you, the students. I think that would be a huge strategy to leverage right now. If I were in your shoes, perhaps, I'd consider doing it. I would absolutely consider creating these department-type pages. I'll give you an example of how it applies to a current client later in the lecture. I'm working with a UVA professor in the engineering school to drive eyeballs, exposure, to raise awareness for him, to get him published in secondary media, to get him published in the right secondary media, and to get people thinking about his brand and his work so it could help further his career. We'll bring that up in a little bit. Facebook can be used to drive donations. And this is not all on Facebook, but I want to emphasize that Facebook is king. If you have a great group in place of alumni that are following your brand socially, and they continue to be engaged with your brand even years after departing your respective institution, what is that going to do when you come passing the proverbial hat for donations? It's going to be more money coming your way because they have a tie. They see your brand pop up in the news feed. They see what you're doing with the current student body. They see how you're catering to the volleyball team, the anthropology student. They see how you're featuring the chorus group in the picture of the day. They realize what it was like to have the 4 most magical years of your life where you were able to literally go to class, focus on school, and hang out with friends and grow and mature as a person. They'll get nostalgic. They'll think about what that time was like, and they will, when the hat comes around, be much more inclined to donate money. Do you realize, and this is an ad age statistic, the Washington Post company was losing so much revenue from a print standpoint to social media, the Washington Post company created a digital marketing firm. This digital marketing firm now has worldwide clout. They're fantastic. The Washington Post company and its digital marketing arm, they did a study of Fortune 500 companies, all the way at the top, mid-cap, to the brick-and-mortar storefronts. And they found that someone is liking a page, when someone likes your brand on Facebook, they are 291%, 291 more likely to interact and engage with that brand than a non-liker. That is a statistic that's worth taking home. If you are liking a page or liking a brand, you are 291% more likely to interact and engage with that brand than someone that is not liking it. I find that mind-boggling right there. But it's the power of social media.